Looking forward to this opportunity. Code Keepers, this brother, but you see him right here, right? You see him, right? Is this brother, Marcus Bridgewater, on GetOnCode. And I know you're saying, what's this have to do with empowerment? What's this have to do with Black empowerment? Stay tuned. All right, welcome to GetOnCode, the Fly Guy Show, which is a series of melanated conversations focused on empowerment, health, wealth, and knowledge of self.
People think in binary choices because they are conditioned to.
And on the wall was a picture of a wolf and a lion. I think the wolf was the Democratic Party, the lion was the Republicans.
But the drug trade and all these illegal stuff that people do, that's still economics. It's just that they couldn't do it in a traditional system.
We're talking about melanated wealth.
So we can build wealth, but we just, for some reason, don't seem to be able to transfer it.
You had a great experience. Fine. That means nothing.
What were you told as a child about education? You had to be how many times better?
Every impression without an expression becomes depression.
So today is May 24th and my book is out. I'm in Barnes & Nobles and look at this.
Right, Code Keepers. As you know, I have the book and I'm loving it. Actually, my wife is loving the book. I think this is her second time through the book, and she's one of the people that kind of hit me up to you. She has a garden, or I have to say we have a garden, but honestly, she has a garden in the back, you know, and one of the things that I love about your content on TikTok, your content on your website, is you use garden as a euphemism for one's life. Mm-hmm. And so you teach people how things grow, and then you show people how they grow. How did you come to that consciousness, that awakening?
Well, I've been on a really righteous spiritual journey for, I would say, since I was 12, since my aunt, who was the pastor in the church, she died, and the schism that caused within the family, within the church, was pretty epic. So that took me on an incredible spiritual journey where I decided I would go and have conversations with everyone and see and study and learn from everyone. And that meant I spent time with every culture, and I got to pray with people who didn't look like me, who prayed one way, who prayed another way, who prayed another way. I stopped and I learned love from all of them. And in the process, I saw correlations in the universe that are seen in microcosm to macrocosm. And it was just this profound thing that life constantly repeats itself. On the highest scale, if you zoom out 1,000, or on the lowest scale, if you zoom in 1,000, they tend to look similar if you're paying attention to the way that things work. So as I found myself in the garden, because that was already a natural part of my spiritual awareness, the garden opened itself up to me in a way that was really magical to show me correlations between myself and my plants in ways that was profound. And little did I know that understanding would translate into wisdom that I could share with others until my business partner came to the garden to help me battle the squirrels and literally said that to me. It was like, oh, this is incredibly helpful. Have you ever considered sharing your thoughts with more people? And that was a really transformative moment, because truly I had. Recently, I've had to address one of my plant experiment combinations, elephant ears mixed with cannabulb. This combination was inspired by an idea. Oval cannabulb leaves growing out underneath the massive heart-shaped leaves of the elephant ear. It was a lovely experiment for 2 years, but I recently noticed the elephant ears weren't looking as healthy as they had previously. The cannabulbs grew higher than I anticipated and began to spread out. Neither plant looked very happy, and upon closer observation, I realized the cannabulb roots were smothering the elephant ear. Despite my best efforts, these two entities weren't working together in this location. Just like plants, Sometimes when we pair with others, our partner does not help us grow. It is important we nurture each other's roots and we respect our companion's space to grow.
That's deep. That's deep. Your last name is Bridgewater. You're definitely a bridge to troubled waters. And when I say troubled, I'm not necessarily meaning destructive. I'm meaning challenging. I mean, things that make you move, things that make you change your direction. Tell us a little bit about your book, man. How to grow. So I guess the question, the title begs a question. How does one grow?
One grows over time. One grows incrementally. One grows with patience and persistence. One grows with determination. My book is about, it's a self-help book written through the lens of the garden, and it's about mental health, physical fitness, and spiritual awareness. It's about the core components of what I believe make up the human being and make up our well-being. And so the book is about nurturing all the parts of yourself so that you grow. And I make that correlation easy to understand. As the plant has varying parts to itself, so do we. And just as you must nurture the roots, the stem, and the leaves of your plants, so too must you nurture your mind, your body, and your spirit if you are to grow holistically. About a month and a half ago, I bought 3 prickly squash type fruits and I planted them in this cloth planter. And over the last month and a half, their growth has taken off. It turns out it grows as a vine. One of the 3 is 4 times as long as the others. The one that has grown the most has grown because it had the support of other plants. This reminds me we grow best when we have support.
One of the capstone questions of the GetOnCode show is, how do we make intentional generational change? And after reading your book, after watching your TikTok videos and your other content online, I think you have an answer to that. I really think you have an answer to that. And if the garden is a euphemism, how do we make intentional generational change?
We think about priority and intention more. So if we have a garden, are we growing or are we creating this garden to grow the vegetables so that we can have and sustain for long term and thereby create a companionship with us and the vegetable? Or are we doing it so that we can say we did it? Are we doing it so that we can have enough vegetables to sell to someone? The intention of how you cultivate the growth you're focused on really will dictate how you treat that creature that is alive. And so as I think about ourselves and the world we're living in today, if we have decided that one raised bed is better than another, if we have decided that the squash is always going to be more important than the peppers, then we have undermined the essence of what nature has showed us, that there is versatility for a reason and all things contribute if you are paying attention and being respectful. So for me, the idea of the future lies in our understanding of nurturing one another, regardless of what we look like, regardless of how much money we have, treating others with kindness, patience, and positivity so that we nurture respect between human beings. That will yield a world where we have connection and connectivity, again, regardless of what we look like or how much money we have. And that is a strong community. And with stronger communities and healthier environments, we have a better life. There are herbs, fruits, vegetables, palms, trees, ferns, shrubs, vines, cacti, just like we have teachers, artists, engineers, managers, healers, farmers, and more. We're all different, but we contribute to the greater community. What are you contributing?
In our gardens, we have to deal with weeds. In our lives, we have to deal with weeds. In our communities, we have to deal with weeds. What has nature taught you about that weeding process that, we could probably do a better job of following?
Wow. One of the major things is weeds don't just come out of nowhere. Weeds exist to show us what is happening in the soil. So the more skilled you become at understanding and reading what weeds are there, the more you understand what the nutrient levels of your soil are, what the pH balance of your soil is, what the season you are in is. So weeds tell a story. Weeds are not just arbitrary. They don't just come out of nowhere to haunt you and to pester you. Weeds are there for a reason. A lot of the times those weeds aren't wanted, but again, they're there telling us something. So if you have some part of life that's unwanted, well, then you've got to address the soil, address the root of where it's coming from. How did it come to exist? And more often than not, that means we've got to check ourselves, our hobbies, our habits, our routines, and really dedicate time to analyzing, is this problem of the mind, the body, or the spirit?
Greetings. Come check this out. In the last couple months, this pothos has grown a lot. So much that it's expanded to one of the cloth planters holding some of my aloe. Now it's time for me to move this pothos. But as I go to move it, it doesn't want to move because it's so attached to the aloe. There may come a time where the things that were helping our growth begin to limit our growth. And it's really important we know when to let go.
Yo, Code Keepers. We just went in deep for a very short time with the good brother Marcus Bridgewater. Like I said, brothers, like I said, sisters, like I said, family, pick up the book. Read the book. Learn from the book. And I'm going to ask you one last question because I have a minute left. So the question comes from one of my good frat brothers who asked me one day when I was describing a dark time that I was struggling in. And he said, well, Seiko, are you buried or are you planted?
Beautiful, beautiful.
And so I would like to just get your green thumbs thought on what's happening with the world, in 45 seconds maybe.
Well,
is America buried or planted?
I address life versus the world in a lot of ways in the book. I think that the world has planted too many seeds of negativity, and as a result, they are burying the seeds of positivity in roots of toxicity. And so we have got a challenge ahead of us to dig out, so to say, but I don't believe that a buried seed is a destroyed seed. It's simply waiting to be unearthed. So we need to unearth all the seeds of love, kindness, patience, and positivity, and do a better job of making sure every day those are the seeds we're deciding to plant with our choices.
Code Keepers, that's it. That's the business. That's the business. Good brother Marcus Bridgewater, you can find him online at Garden Marcus. I'm going to drop in if you look below, I'm going to drop in all the social media links so you can catch up with this good brother and you can learn how to grow.
Awesome.
Marcus, we thank you, man. Be blessed, be bountiful. Any planting term that seems that you're reaping a great harvest, I want you to get all that, man. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to all of us growing together.
Ashe, ashe.